And welcome back. I'm Marcus Peter. I'm blessed to be joined by Laura Hovious. She's part of the music ministry at Northridge Church in Plymouth, and she happened to be here at this conference on a Eucharistic revival. And I just wanted to have a conversation with Laura. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So, Laura, I want to ask you to just share about what it is you're doing here at this conference.
Well, I love to lead worship. I love the opportunity to connect with people through music. I love the opportunity to have a good connection with Jesus through music, and then to bring that gift to other people. I was asked to participate by my very friend Matt Cush, who's a music director at St. Isidore. Mm-hmm. And he put this whole put the whole worship team together, who's serving today. So we're all coming from different places in the world, and we came together for a lot of music and worship today. And that's what I'm here for.
All right. Tell us about the call to get into music ministry.
Was a journey. I don't do music for my day job. Mm-hmm. I'm an architectural design director in my day-to-day. And up until 2018, I was what I would consider agnostic. I had faith in and out of my life. But it wasn't until 2018 when I started going to Northridge, and I was just a member in the crowd, just kind of seeing what God had to tell me. And that day that I showed up, it changed my life. He had a lot to say. And part of that was this just very strong, I'm getting emotional, this very strong calling to participate in the music program that they had there. I had been singing my whole life and done a lot of things in the music industry. I did all the shows, American Idol, X Factor, all of those things, but I don't think that any of those opportunities ever worked out, because I think God had a different plan for me. And even if it's on a we would say a smaller scale of connecting with people in ministry and at church, I think that's where he wanted me, because I used to wonder, why was I given this gift? Why if I'm not able to use it, right? And I think that he was always kind of preparing me for being able to. I think music was the conduit for me to come to him, and then therefore I could use that gift to pour out to other people. So yeah, it was an interesting journey, but one that I felt very compelled to be a part of once I stepped foot into that church, and I heard worship music for the first time. And in that moment I heard what I believe now is God telling me, you need to be a part of this. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And I think throughout those years I've grown in my faith and my relationship with God, and so this is a new way to express that in a different crowd, in a different setting, and it's really fun and exciting. But yeah, that's why I'm here. So
share with us what fruits it has borne in your life, listening to God's call that way.
It's funny, because I used to look at this as, like, when I first started going to church and I first started getting involved in ministry at all, I used to look at it as, well, it's just a lens that I want to look at my life through, right? The teachings of Jesus and being a good person. And I kind of was, doing the bare minimum, if I can be honest, of a Christian, of just, having a heart posture for God and not necessarily knowing his word. And I think that as I have grown in my faith, God kind of put he kind of hit me in the face with hey, you don't know my word, and you need to start reading the Bible, and you need to start having these hard conversations with yourself about how you think about me in your everyday life, because it's not just a lens that we look at our lives through in order to be a good person to other people. It's about living for God and being in relationship with God. And in order to do that correctly, we have to know his word. So over the last year, I've started reading the Bible. I'm still in the Old Testament, but I've started reading the Bible. Our church is doing a year of the Bible right now, so I've been participating with my church, and it's been just life-changing. Just the every day having conversations with God every day, asking Him for prayer and help in my life and confidence to get up here and do this. That relationship has grown a lot, and it's a hard relationship to have because you have to change some of the ways that you live your life if you're really truly living for God, and then asking for forgiveness too for not always doing the living for Him the way that He would like you to. So that is, I think knowing His Word, getting into the Bible, trying to really study more versus just looking at myself as, well, I'm a good Christian because I'm a good person. So that I think has been the biggest shift that I've seen just over the last year or so.
Can you share about, now that you're diving into the scriptures, how does that shaped your, so like you said, you had a heart posture for the Lord, but you're getting to know Him more. To hear the word of God is to know the word, to know the Lord. What's that doing for you?
Well, I think it's helping me understand the stories of the Bible are helping me understand where some of our faith and how we express that in church and in worship, where that comes from, what the covenant meant with Abraham, that God loved His people so deeply that He was also not afraid to correct them and tell them when they're wrong. And as many times as people fail and that community failed and that community turned away from Him, He still loved them and He still brought them to Him. I think like that for me is a really life-changing thing, that no matter how sinful I am, no matter how broken I am, no matter what I'm going through, I know that God always loves me. And he's never left me in my life, and I've never been alone, right? He's always been there. Every single thing that I've done in my life, I used to think it was me, that it's because I went to school and I made the money and I did all of these things, but now I know, especially going back into the Old Testament, God has always been there. He's always been a part of our history. He's always been a part of our lives, and so I can look at myself in that way now. Like I'm a broken, sinful person, but God still loves me anyway.
There are many moms, young women listening to this broadcast, and frankly, fathers, grandfathers who have young women in their lives. Given the journey that you've taken, what are some things you want or you believe that young women ought to know, not just about why they ought to know God, but about what God has made for them, what God is calling them to be?
I think that right now in our society, there's a culture of, there's a big culture of we want to put women in this box in relation to Christianity, right? We want women have their roles, and people who've never maybe had a relationship with God or read the Bible might see that as, women aren't being given all of the same things that men are. And I think in the reality of it is that I think that God has separated us as two different genders, two different kinds of people for a reason, and I think that relationship we're really complementary to each other. Women have their strengths, men have their strengths, and I think that it's about remembering that we are designed the way that we're supposed to be, and whatever that calling is that God's calling us to do, we need to listen to it. And sometimes that might be standing up in front of a crowd and ministering to them through worship, and sometimes that might be volunteering at giving coffee at your church. I think that women have a heart for God naturally because we're empathetic and we're caring and we love, and I think love is an expression of God, and so we can lean into that as women, and we don't have to be afraid to be powerful in that and love people. So,
John Paul II called that specific phrase the feminine genius, and you're completely right. Thank you for sharing that. I've been talking with Laura Hovious. She is a music minister with Northridge Church in Plymouth, Michigan. And we've been talking about her encountering of God and being called to the work of playing praise music, and frankly, her participation here at this Eucharistic conference in Detroit. Stay tuned. I'm Marcus Peter.